got Max in the building. This is one of the most advanced AI users that I personally know, and he's going to be teaching me. So this is basically what that is. This is just going to be me learning from him, and then this is a selfish video pretty much. But if anyone
Hey,
else can
let's
take
have
some
some
stuff,
fun. Let's have some fun.
yeah, let's
Don't
do
let
it,
me go
man.
down the rabbit hole. I'll talk too much.
No, no, I got you, bro. I got you. We want you to go
uh,
down that rabbit hole.
yeah, no, I have a tendency to do that, but we'll have some fun. We'll go into some depth.
Yeah, bro. So, there's three things that I want to learn about today, bro.
Yeah.
So, there's AI and MCP. There's also going to be automations, and then also, if we could touch on Claude Skills, that would be amazing, because then we can cover everything we got to know to have a baseline of some of the more advanced AI uses. So,
For sure.
let's do it.
For
Let's
sure.
let's start with AI and
Yeah.
MCP.
Yeah.
How would you explain an MCP to someone who's never heard of it?
So,
what does it do?
how I visualize MCP is essentially, I think it's kind of, so what it stands for, first off, I guess no one really ever needs to know this, but it stands for Model Context Protocol. Essentially what that means in a very simple way of describing it is the bridge between an AI and your softwares that you use. It essentially gives the AI access to the data that you have. So think of it as like, let's say you get an email and you upload the email to ChatGPT and you're like, hey, this is what the email means. This is what the context is. This is what I need out of it. That would be in theory good because AI is so amazing. So it can technically help with anything. However, that repetitiveness gets old, right? Because you just have to explain yourself every time there's a new chat. Think of it as each time you start a new chat, you're starting from zero. However, with MCP, that essentially allows you to create a bridge between your data and a chat. So when you start a new chat with MCP, it already has access to every email that you already sent. It already has access to the revenue that you did today. It has access to your customers, everything like that. So essentially, it's pretty much just a tailored AI to you, which I think is very unbelievable.
Yeah.
So that's kind of in a nutshell what MCP is. But I firmly believe that that turns a simple chatbot like Gemini or Claude, even Claude. I think Claude's amazing, but Claude without MCP, I hate to say it, is essentially useless if you're using it in a business setting. It really turns it from, I've read articles that just hooking up your CRM to Claude via MCP will 10x, 15x your output. It's just unbelievable.
I can believe that as well. Because
I'm just going to plug my computer in, but let's say.
Nah, all good, bro, all good. From what I know about MCP, it's basically just the layer beneath Claude that connects it to these tools. So
exactly,
as I'm sure you'll show us, is pretty amazing. Like some of the stuff now, like with connecting Meta via an MCP to Claude, it's crazy, isn't it?
I have my tech stack as far as MCP is kind of like, it's crazy. I probably got like 15 different ones, so I got my kind of family business side on half of it where I kind of do some stuff for my family, but also on my half where it's like the creatives, think of it as like, there's an MCP that I use that it just released a few days ago. It's Higgsfield's. It's a AI marketing tool, and you can literally hook that up and you can drop an image of let's say you're selling a candle, right? You can drop an image of a candle into the chat and be like, hey, Higgsfield, make me a 25 ads, and you don't even have to go into the actual software and do it. You can just control your whole entire, company with a Claude chatbot, which is quite it helps a lot.
Yeah. What would you say are some of the things you should start with when it comes to an MCP? So let's say you're just jumping into this and you want to get started with some of the more advanced stuff. So with an MCP, what would the first kind of thing you would do to kind of get warmed up be?
Email is always a good one. I mean, anything that essentially that holds your data. If it was me for the big three, I will say before this, my answer would have been different 3 days ago, but because Meta just released their MCP, I feel like now you have to control ad spend with MCP. So that is part of the big three now, because it is just so insane that you can literally build a tailored campaign to your ideal customer with essentially Claude just digging into your data, and knowing what the perfect ad is. So, Meta ads is now officially one of the most important MCPs that you have. It just so happens that came out about 3 days ago as of May 11th. But I mean, so that being said, I think email, ads, CRM is huge. Essentially any major data that you hold within your company, I think is very important. Then you can, once you have those big 3 or 4, you can start getting into more unique things like your file system on your terminal and marketing things like that. But I think just anything that holds major data is probably the most important thing.
Cool. So just kind of simplifying it for myself, basically you're hooking up your big things like your Meta, like your email, like these other big data points, and you're basically plugging them essentially into Claude. So when you ask it a question, it can go into these points of data and pull data from them to reference in the answer it gives you. And then it can also control some of these, if you give it permissions, literally inside the Claude app or web browser.
Yeah, 100%. So there's a few different things you can do with MCP. I think the best is information based. I mean, let's say you want to, ask it like, hey, who are my top 50 customers? Give me all their emails and build a custom email draft. I mean, that just saves so much time of going into your systems and doing that. So I think from an informational standpoint, it's very amazing. But what I think is extremely underrated is the actual create side of it, where it can actually go into your systems and create things for you, right? So let's say you're adding a new customer to your CRM. Before you would have to add in, like the date, the email, the phone number, all this BS that you don't want to do that takes 5 minutes per customer. But you can actually, I know we'll touch on this later, but you can actually create just like a custom Claude skill where you do everything once, and then you do /skill, and it now knows what you exactly want to do with this customer. And it knows, so like, let's say I'm adding Julius to my CRM. If I just type in /skill Julius, it will know exactly what to do with you and all your information. It will know where to put it in the CRM. It will know how to email you, whatever it is. So all you have to do is just type in the name or whatever you train it to do, and it will give you the exact output that you want, as long as you train it properly the first time.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. I can't wait to touch on that for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Max, can you pull something up on screen? Just to show me Claude connected to a real tool and let it pull through live data, just so there's a visual kind of representation.
Well, I'm gonna do this. So I'm not gonna actually show you my Claude, because I have one of our family company's employees access to Claude, and she has like a ton of connectors that is like, she got like the whole tech stack. So I'm going to show you that for fun, because she's like super deep. So I'm just going to give me 1 second to log out of my current one.
No, all good, bro. I mean, so to recap, kind of an MCP, you basically plug in your big data sources like Meta, like your Gmail, whatever, and then you can tell Claude, go into my Gmail and find X and do this. And so that's how you can pull data from it. And then you can also get it to do things. So you can get it to make changes in a Meta ads campaign.
Exactly.
You can do all of these things plugged in. But
exactly, 100%. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay, so this is one of our reps that has got essentially kind of really controlled the advancement of these tools as far as the team. So she's the one experimenting with everything on her account.
Yeah.
I do my account for more just random stuff, future plans and stuff like that. But this is kind of like an example of in time how you can use advanced Claude stuff. So I'm just going to show you like a few of the ones she has right now. Gmail and Microsoft, obviously, that's amazing. She got her Gmail hooked up. So she literally reaches out to over like 20,000 customers a year. And that would take so long. But literally all she has to do is type in a chat and be like, hey, draft an email to 20,000 of these coaches. And this is exactly what I wanted to say. And it just sends to her Gmail, right? So I'm going to show you some of her, like, just some of her chats.
Yes.
So like projects. These are kind of skills that she's built. So like, for example, let's say quotes, right? She has all of her quoting information in this Claude on exactly how to build the quotes that are tailored for our company, right? So, so she'll have all the instructions. So AI obviously makes this. You just train AI to make it for you. This is not something that is very complex. It just spits it out in a second. And you save the project instructions to the Claude. And essentially what that can do is you just be like, build me a quote for this, and it spits out the immediate thing, right? And then I'm going to kind of show you some of another example. Let's see. Where is? That's why I was on the team plan. I was wondering why there's not any showing up. Okay, so we're gonna go to quotes. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is a perfect example. So quotes. So if I go to Claflin University, so let's say just I type in this. It's just straight from the email. So it will go into our CRM and essentially do exactly what it's trained to do, and it will add that to our CRM without even us doing anything, and it's just done.
So you basically got this now live going into the CRM without you touching anything.
Exactly, just by literally typing in exactly this. We don't even have to tell it what to do. If we're in the quotes section, we literally just type in exactly what we want, and it will go into our system I'll show you where it gets the access. So each time you send a chat, it will reference these instructions that are so hard-coded in the system where it can't do anything else other than what's in this, right? So each time you send a message, like the letter, I don't know, let's say you send a space bar, and the space bar is trained to reference these instructions, it will know exactly what you mean when you type a space bar.
Yeah.
And it will, so that being said, if your create a customer is just a space bar, and then you hit enter, it will just create a customer for you, and it'll eliminate 15 minutes of manual labor, per customer, which is pretty amazing. But I'm going to show you just kind of some more. So that's kind of like a 30,000 foot view of just like, some cool, Claude little hacks that you can do. But I'm also going to show you some like, just some connectors that are pretty cool.
Yeah, this is really helpful. Thank you.
So these are some of her favorites. This is kind of her main stack as of right now. This is our CRM. It just so happens that it's security. That's one thing about MCP that you always have to watch for, is that depending on the security of the software that you're hooking up, you might just have to log in, every Monday or whatever it is. Yep. So it just so happens that this connection's expired, but all you have to do is just hit connect and log in, and then it's just easy, right? But as far as her everyday ones, she loves Adobe, right? So Adobe just came out probably a week or two ago, and that can edit images, that can edit cool things like that, just at a click of a button. And I'll actually show you some of the tools that it can do. So these are all the tools that it actually has access to, right? So if you use Adobe MCP, you can do anything in Claude that includes all this stuff, which is just so mind-boggling to think about. So you can just edit images. It has access to everything. I'll show you a better example, like a Gmail one that's more easier to digest. So for Gmail, right? You can create a draft, you can get a thread, you can list drafts, list labels, search threads, all that stuff, just by a click of the button. It's really unbelievable. And then I guess it's not because it's not signed in. I don't think I can access our CRM, but our Xtrain NetSuite one that's our CRM, and that essentially can do so much stuff like create customer, send emails, send reminders, everything like that you can imagine that you want in a CRM just by a click of the button. So so, I mean, once these MCPs are connected, ideal scenario is you create a skill and you train it to reference these MCPs, and you just go full speed ahead after that. It's if you train your CRM, if you train a skill for your CRM to email a customer every 30 days just by typing a spacebar, you can hit spacebar enter and it'll email all your customers. It's quite scary as far as a time saver.
Yeah, bro. So you basically plug these in, and then you can tell Claude within specific projects what you would want it to do, and it has the data for what that project is about, and it will go into these tools, and it will do everything from within Claude. So the next time you log into that tool, it will be done in there. So if you wanted to draft the Gmail, gotcha.
Yep. So I'm also going to show you some really popular ones. Anything that you see in here, this is not the limitation, which is so beautiful about MCP. One of the most beautiful things is that all these softwares that I'm about to show you is not the limitation, because there's something called a custom connector, where you literally can create your own one just by some simple coding that AI can do for you. It's so that being said, if you see anything in here that does not align with what you use, whatever you use, you can probably create on your own, right? It just so happens that these ones are the easiest ones to do because they're very Claude friendly. So, Shopify is new. Obviously, that's a game changer because you can literally run a whole company from Claude.
Yeah.
Because, if Shopify is, I really wish we used Shopify, because hell, if we did, man, I mean, we would go pretty insane. But, so that being said, imagine if you go onto Claude in the morning, and instead of going on Shopify and manually searching all this data, it does all these tools for you, and you're just like, hey, give me all these customers right here.
Yeah.
Right. And then that would just save so much time. Like, let's say you want to give a flash sale or something on Shopify on one of your stores, create a discount for this product, and you don't have to do any of that manually anymore. Which is pretty awesome. But here, I'll show you some more fun ones. You can I'm sure, just kind of see, all these cool things that you can connect.
Even Spotify.
Can you connect? I didn't even know that. Can you?
Yeah. Look,
where did you see that?
Scroll up
somewhere. Yeah, Spotify. Yeah. So let's just out of curiosity what it can do. So it can create a playlist for you. That's hilarious. I didn't even know it can do that.
Yeah, that's cute.
So that is a perfect example of how far. I know it's silly, right? It's silly that you can connect your music, but that is literally just an example of how advanced these tools have gotten.
Yeah.
Where you could literally hook up your Spotify and be like, hey, based off everything I listen to, give me 30 new songs that fit my ideal liking.
Yeah.
That sounds so dumb, but the point I'm getting at is it's gotten so far where it can do that for such a silly task. So imagine what it can do, for a very advanced task, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's there's some, Wix is a big one. Is this Amazon? I think Amazon seller was in there somewhere. But I mean, I guess in a nutshell, if you can take anything from the last 10, 15 minutes of us talking, if you don't use these tools that you're given, and as far as MCP and connecting it and having Claude or any large language model in your business, if you're not doing this, you are virtually behind, and you will not have the same output as somebody that is using these tools, and not even close. you can 50x your production if you know how to use these tools properly. The way I described it to my dad, who's kind of getting more and more into AI, is if you start a company, no matter what it is, let's say it's starting a clothing brand, let's say it's starting a hedge fund, let's say it's starting a damn plumbing company, I have no idea. Whatever you want to start a company in, your main focus should not be the niche, and it should be AI. Your main focus, because AI can be tailored to so many different things, whether, again, it's something manual like plumbing. Let's say you're building a plumbing company. You're probably asking, like, how the hell does AI help with that? Well, it can pretty much do the whole entire back end for you, where all you have to do is go plumbing, right? So, I mean, I really firmly believe that if you are not using these tools and you're starting a company, it will be so much harder to run a company without this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's virtually, I mean, in today's world, it's virtually impossible if your competitors use this and you don't, you know? So that being said, if you can take anything out of the last 20 minutes of me rambling and going down the rabbit hole, it's that you have to, no matter what company you're starting, no matter what your niche is, you 100% have to use these tools. No question. You know?
Yeah. I mean, what you've done so brilliantly is you just made it really easy. So now you've taken this big complex monster in a lot of people's minds, and we can see on screen now, you just go into it, you connect it, and then you can build a project around it, and you can tell it what you want, and it will go into the tool and act as you in that tool. So you made it pretty simple, man, and I think that's as good as it's gonna get.
And that's one thing I want to clarify too, is that, so I graduated university in 24, and I really was the farthest thing from tech. I had no, I mean, dude, if me being 22 years old, man, I had no idea what JavaScript was, dude. I really had no idea, man, as far as coding, all that stuff. But the beauty of AI is that it's so unbelievably user-friendly, where it sounds complex, and it really does sound complex, because I was there too. I was like, what in the hell does this stuff mean? But once you actually go down the rabbit hole, it really, in a nutshell, is just advanced tech for simple language. And that's the beauty of it, is like, it sounds so scary, but anybody can use this stuff. And it's just like, I don't think people realize how easy it actually is, because again, like, I guess it's easy for me to say that, but at the same time, I had no idea what tech was, how tech worked. I just so happened that I asked ChatGPT how to do something 10,000 times, and I'm good with good AI. Right. So, if you actually just have the limit of AI is your imagination. That is genuinely what it is. And, if you go into ChatGPT or Claude and you brainstorm in a chat for an hour, it will allow you to unlock so much information of you just going down the rabbit hole and continuing to ask questions, where you then realize that MCP sounds scary because it's a tech term, but all it is just adding a connector. That is all it is, right? So, and it's like, people are like, what's MCP? That sounds so advanced. That's all coding. I have never written one line of code in my life, and I code all day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy thing.
It's just that simple, right? So I think once you get over the hump of actually understanding that this is built to be user friendly. This has access to every single thing in human history that has ever been written, wrote, talked about, whatever. And you just have to accept that, the most tech advanced person in the world can use AI, but also a kindergartner could use AI. You might get different outputs. However, it's still usable for anybody, Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, right?
I got you, bro.
So, anyone, that's eager to learn about this information, please accept that it's not as complex as you think it is. And just know that I was once a 22-year-old kid thinking, how the hell does this work? And then all of a sudden, a year later, I'm like, that isn't as hard as I thought it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So please, listen to that if I can say anything.
Yeah, man. I mean, now you run quite a lot of complex things on AI, and obviously you didn't really know too much about it just 2 years ago, a year ago. So
Right.
the the learning curve you can have is quite dramatic. So yeah, I mean that's MCPs as good as it's gonna get, I think, for anybody watching. To
Yeah.
be fair, bro.
Yeah.
So
And it's funny too. One thing I also want to touch on is I have one of my really close buddies who is trying to get more into AI. Nathan, if you ever watch this, shout out to you. I love you to death, brother. But he's trying to get more into AI, and it's funny because he will send me stuff and ask if, like, is this right? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? And it's funny because you have a tool with unlimited intelligence in your pocket. Just upload the damn PDF and ask if it's right.
yeah,
That's the beauty of Claude, is like, or any LLM. It's unlimited intelligence. It is so much smarter than every single person in the whole entire world. Just ask it questions. Every single person I talk to about AI has the same common theme. They're like, well, how do I do this? How do I do this? Let me ask you this. Is this right? Dude, just ask Claude if it's right. Ask Claude how to do it. That is literally how I got good at AI, is asking an LLM how to do something 10,000 times. That's my secret right there. How do I do this 10,000 times?
yeah.
It's so that being said, like, learning AI is literally as simple as just having a chat with it that is just so complex and long, and you just talking to it in simple English and learning from it. It's not asking somebody if, like, is this the right route I'm going down? It's asking the thing that has unlimited intelligence if this is the right thing you're going down, right?
Yeah.
So that is also one thing I want to, point out, is that, you have the best teacher in the world in your pocket with an output of 1 second.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point to learn these things. Just
yeah.
ask it as well.
Yeah, 100%. So, I got so many of my friends, texting me like, hey, would this thing work? Well, guess what, buddy? The output I give you is literally me just putting into Claude, will this work?
Yeah, I got you.
So that's one thing I want to touch base on, because it's funny, because it's the most skipped thing in the world, is like, you could get so much output if you just recognize that the tool you have in your pocket is the most intelligent thing on the planet.
Yeah, 100%, bro. Yeah.
So, I mean, dude, I could go down. AI is such a part of my life where it's so funny, because, like, people make fun of me for it, but I have AI do my workout plans. I have AI do my meal plans. I take a picture of my damn refrigerator and be like, what do I make for dinner?
Yeah.
Things like that, because that sounds so stupid, but in reality, I mean, AI is the best personal trainer I've ever had.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it really is. So I mean, I think it's very, that's an extreme example, obviously, that has really no real use to the real world. However, it's very much an adapt or die situation, where if you don't use it, you'll be behind. If you're infinitely smarter than me at investment banking, and I use AI and you don't, I will beat you. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah, I agree.
So I mean, this is very much this is a new world that you have to adapt to if you're trying to, become an entrepreneur or create generational wealth, and you're trying to beat the, if you're trying to take the road less taken, that's what you have to do in this world, is just only focus on AI. Because again, I really think it's the greatest invention of human history ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I genuinely think the AI right now beats the damn wheel in 300 BC. I genuinely believe that, because it is endless opportunity. I mean, I have AI trading for me on stocks, and it's giving me a return that's the same as hedge funds, and I don't have to pay any fees.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, I don't even have to look at stocks. I don't have to know what stocks is. I don't know. I mean, I'm in 300, 400 stocks right now, that I don't even know what company it is, and it's giving me a 35% return. You know, I mean, it's and I don't have to pay that 2% a year that adds up real quick to a hedge fund. You know, I don't have to do any of that just because I understand that AI is universal.
Yeah.
And the only thing that separates me from somebody that doesn't really know what the direction of the world is me literally just knowing how insane AI is. That is the only thing that separates me from the field. Is the sole thing is me knowing that this is the most unbelievable thing that has ever existed. I want to point out. I want to say one. I was watching a podcast the other day. I can't believe I can't remember his name. Please, if you do, please tell me. He's the CEO of Anthropic. I can't believe I can't remember his name because I use this damn software every freaking day for 10 hours. But he was saying in a podcast that this really stuck out to me. Somebody asked him, what is the most surprising thing in the AI world that that is so surprising to you as a CEO of the major gamer for AI? You know, what's the most surprising thing? You run a $1 trillion company. You know, you obviously know everything about AI that you can know. And his answer was so surprising, but also it made so much sense. And this is literally the exact reason I'm saying all this is because what his answer was he is so surprised that how insane AI is, but the lack of knowledge about how insane it is from the general public. Like, this is the most unbelievable thing in the world ever, that we can literally just have a chatbot run our damn companies, and no one is talking about it other than the top 5%.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, literally, like, 90% of AI, 90% of people using AI are using it as a Google, when you could literally build trading algorithms with it that give you a 45% return just by talking to Claude Code in simple English. You know, I mean, so that being said, I mean, we have another year, probably another 2 years before the general public, finally accepts that AI is the most unbelievable tool ever. And I mean, it's only going to get better. That being said, these next 2 years of knowing this stuff is so important because we are still ahead of the field.
Yeah.
Right? So, not only that, but it's only going to get better. It's genuinely only going to get better. So, yeah, it's the lack of public knowledge on how unbelievable this is. I really think is also a huge thing to point out, is that you could go into a blue collar company where the guy is making, let's say the guy's making $1 million a year, or just by doing some blue collar work that, he's been doing his whole life. And you could plug his systems in, charge $5,000 just by clicking a few buttons. I mean, what does he care if he's making that much money and it gets that much of an output? That being said, you can go to these companies and go to these people that are blue collar and just, the boomer era. And I mean, they have no idea how this stuff works, and it is life-changing, so.
100%.
I have a tendency to just, ramble about how insane it is. So I apologize. But, I hope that really, unlocks, your understanding of the potential that this has,
Bro, 100%. I mean, there's so much I want to do with it. But if I was to send you down another rabbit hole, I would want to know a little bit about automations as well.
Yeah.
Because we've covered MCP. So what... Yeah. Could you pull up like a simple workflow just so we can see what this actually looks like? What you'd use an automation for? I know we don't have all the time in the world.
I got about another 20 minutes.
Sweet.
I can definitely show you some cool stuff. I will say one of my all my like current automations are kind of not on my server just because they are like embedded into the company servers. So I can only show you some like simple ones.
Dude, some basic ones would be more.
But I can definitely give you like a walkthrough out and give you a visual on how this stuff works. I might just not be able to show you like a finished output just because it's all server based, right?
That's fine, man. That's fine.
Can you see my second screen now? Share this stat. There we go.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So this is like I use N8N. I will say Claude Code is getting so good where you could literally just build the same damn thing with Claude Code and it gives you the same output.
Really?
It just it's
Damn, bro.
I will say I do use N8N, but I know that it's outdated. I know it is. It just so happens that I'm good at it and I probably will adapt one of these days, but it just so happens it's not now. Yeah, so I'm going to give you kind of just like a 30,000 foot view on how automation works and why it's different from MCP. But even though they're different, they're a yin-yang, they're opposites, but they really fit together, right? Essentially what MCP is, again, in a nutshell, is you're able to talk to a chat about your data and your data is allowed, the Claude is allowed to do things in your data that you tell it to. Yeah. But what automation is you giving it a start and you giving it a finish, right? So let's say I want to build something in Google Sheets, right? So like, all these are all the Google ones right here. And if I want to have a automation where every single morning at 6 a.m., it pulls all of my ad stuff from my Google Ads campaign, and I want it to put in my Google Sheets, right? So it can do that every single morning at 6 a.m., right? So how that's different from MCP is if it's apples to apples and you giving it constant data and you giving it something just to do on a loop, you don't even have to touch it. Essentially, if there's no human intervention needed. Yeah. So kind of the way I describe it is like MCP is for opinion stuff and, like you talking to your company, and automation is essentially no opinion based. It's 2 + 2 = 4. It's fact based. It's putting this spreadsheet information into this spreadsheet information on a constant loop. It's essentially something that you need to do, whether it's every day, every hour, every month, on just a continuous loop. So that's kind of how it's different from MCP. But I will say I do have like a PDF somewhere on how it's kind of, let me see if I can find it.
So basically, an automation, you build it once, and this is for tasks that need to be done, and you just remove the human work from it. So you pull data from a source, and then you can email that data that you want to yourself every morning, and you would have it there to read. And you don't have to go and check. You don't have to open anything, waste 10 minutes. You just have it done. And once you stack these up, that's when automations get powerful.
So, one thing I want to point out about automation too is that I don't think that it is the best to have AI opinion in automation because you don't really look at it. It's just kind of a data in, data out thing where once you start having AI think for you in your automations, that essentially is giving the chance of a wrong output, right? Because you don't look at the data. So that's why MCP separates, is because if you do want an opinion from AI, that's kind of how, when you start talking to the chat. But if you literally just need to send this is such a stupid example, right? But do you have any delivery food apps in the UK?
Yeah, we
do. So we use DoorDash here. Like that's one of our main ones, but I'm sure like Uber Eats you guys have.
Yeah, Uber Eats, delivery.
I remember on DoorDash, I do a DoorDash pickup one day, and about 40, I remember exactly because I knew it was a simple automation that they did. It was 47 minutes after the food, I picked up the food, they sent me a email pretty much saying, how did you enjoy your food? Please rate us, blah, 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 blah. And that is why automation is good right there, is because if you're doing something on a continuous loop, like, hey, please send me a review 47 minutes after you bought something. That's how it's good, is just continuous loop, right?
Yeah.
But that would never be needed in an MCP. Like, what are you going to do? Track all your customers 47 minutes after they buy it, and then automate me this email to them, blah, blah, blah. Like, that doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
So that's where automation comes in, is if you have a unique case where you need to do a constant loop on something that doesn't need a random output, if that makes sense. So if it's a constant email, if I wanted to send you, here's the newest AI news every single day at 6 a.m., that's an automation, right? So that's kind of, a 30,000 foot view on automation.
Yeah, bro.
I wish I could show you some more workflows. It just so happens I have to connect to the servers and all that crap, that it's just going to take me a long time to do on, on like VPNs and stuff, just because all that data is pretty secure for, if it's a different company, right? But so I wish I could show you some working ones. I can definitely send you some recordings of them. If you ever want me to see them. Yeah, I'm more than happy to. I just don't know. Oh, here we go. I actually have an AI automation MCP guide and kind of how automation works that I can send to you later. But yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell how automation works. Essentially any, if you have to put apples in a basket and you have to put oranges in a basket, that's how automation is. But if you want to have AI explain why apples are better than oranges, that's when MCP comes in.
That's a good way of explaining it. Yeah. I mean, this is good because, again, it just kind of simplifies the whole process. If you have a repeatable thing in your business that needs to be done every so often, and it's every time, like you're getting a review request for a customer, that's where automation comes in, so you don't have to manually do it and track when you do it. So that makes sense. I think the last thing, bro, if you could you touch a little bit on Claude Skills with whatever time we got left? This is one that I'm very interested in, so I'm keen to learn this. Yeah, I mean, once we've got the MCP down, automations down, Claude Skills is basically the last little piece of the puzzle that will help us out with some advanced AI.
Yeah. So I'm gonna show you a few different ways to do Claude Skills.
Yeah.
So essentially, what a Claude skill is you giving it a fixed way of doing something that's not AI opinion. So somebody created something that essentially trains the AI model to do a certain thing the way you want it to do. You can either get these skills from GitHub, which I obviously highly recommend, or you can create these skills by yourself. I think it's more finding a happy medium that works for you. I do a little bit of both. I do download the major ones, the major gamers, but I also create some on my own that I use for different things. So, I mean, this is one of my favorites. It's Get Shit Done. So you can go to Claude and you can essentially, download this. Where's the tags?
And where is this? How do you access what you've got
This is GitHub. So you can pretty much what it allows you to do is let's see. I'm just going to go to this. Okay, here we go. So like you can download any of these skills and you can essentially copy and paste the code into Claude Code, and you can essentially train a model to do a certain thing. So all these are like agents and stuff that I don't know why it's not.
Can I just ask, bro? So with these, is this different to Claude projects or to like a custom GPT?
So that's one thing I want to point out is like Claude. So GitHub is very much for like Claude Code. I think I think it's like very good for like advanced coding work and like building complex things.
Yeah.
So for example, the get shit done one is kind of giving Claude Code a tool to essentially not delay any projects. So you can just type in once, get this done, and don't give me any output until you finish it.
Yeah.
So if you start Claude Code from the start with nothing in it, Claude Code has a tendency to ask you if things are okay, which makes you, hit yes or no, and all this stuff. Where something like this, you can just plug the skill in, and Claude will essentially understand that you do not want an output until it's finished. Right.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's really, so these GitHub skills are very, very good for like, essentially like, building complex tools and complex websites where you just don't really have to manually watch the Claude Code. So that's what really good is. That's what's really good for GitHub. But as far as Claude projects, I actually think you'll get more out of Claude projects because it's, again, so user friendly. So all these ones are, I touched a little bit on it earlier, but all these are projects created with hard coded instructions that exactly what we want. So these are essentially kind of our own little mini skills that we've created. So for example, if we want, let's see what's okay. So this is a great one to explain because it's kind of universal, but we have essentially a order form for our customers where we send them a spreadsheet with the image of the garment. And, we have pre-built data in those spreadsheets that we have to type out and all that crap, right? Essentially what we did was we created a skill within a project. So as far as skill in this, it's essentially instructions, right? So it's a skill is kind of a fancy way of saying instructions.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So that being said, what we do is we type with Claude for 20 minutes on a new tool, on a new project, and we essentially get it perfect, right?
Yeah.
And we ask it to give the exact instructions on how it did that, so it never forgets how to do it again. And that's where this comes in, right? It gives us all this information that we then put into the project instructions. And so I'll show you exactly how this works, right? So we have it trained for when we put in our garment. Okay, so when this is the stuff we're selling, right? This is what we're sending to our customer via email. So we have it trained where once we drop this in, it understands that when we send an image of our garment, it wants us to create an order form. So that is a skill.
Right. Okay.
So we drop in the garment, and then this is what the output it gives. So it did all this stuff for it. It did all this code for us. I'll show you like all the Python and stuff like that. It did all the code for us in a second. It ran the script, and then boom, a minute later, I'll download this so you can see it. Okay.
So it's
Can you see
basically
my
a set of rules that it follows every time something happens. It follows those rules to create an output that's the same every time you use that skill.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I don't know how to share my here, can I present something else? Hold on. Yeah, so this is the output it gave us, right? So it has the label in there, right? So it's already pre-built what we trained it to do. So it knows that this is an X24 full zip jacket because Claude is so effing good at image reading. It can read that this is the X24 full jacket, right? So it automatically pre-populates the image for us. It automatically can draft an email. Essentially this workflow alone went from taking 10 minutes to moving the image around and all that stuff, right? And making it perfect, to us training the skill once, and now it can do it in a minute every time. Absolutely perfect. I'm sure we've ran thousands and thousands of these since we fully adapted to Claude, and it's never gotten one wrong because it physically can't. Yeah. We're batting 100%, which is pretty awesome. So that's kind of one cool skill. I'm going to try to show you some other This is a really cool one. I love this one. So this is so awesome. I'm actually gonna I might do this for you and show you real output of how a skill works. I'm sure she won't care. Again, this is on my one of our reps emails, but I'm sure I can log in and she won't care. So I'm going to show you this in real time if you're down to see it.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Really I'm just gonna give me like 15 seconds to just kind of log into her email and stuff.
Yeah, all good.
I remember being saved into her stuff. So.
Yeah, this has been really helpful so far. I mean, this is
good, man. I'm glad.
It's been an overview of the 3 kind of core things that you need with the MCP, the automations, and then the skills. This is kind of like the baseline to have some sort of advanced AI introduced into your business. So this has been good, man.
For sure. So this is so I'm in our drafts, right? So the last draft we created for can you see? Never mind, you can't. Give me 1 second. Screen.
Yeah, this will probably have to be the last thing because I know you got.
No worries at all. Trying to share mine so I can move around. Okay, there we go.
Sweet.
You can see my mouse movement, all this draft stuff.
Let's see it work.
So the last draft you can see, right? May 8th. Okay, that's the last one we have. So this is in our my coworker Sabra's. This is in her. This is in her email. And essentially, she absolutely loves this skill. This is probably her favorite skill. So take notes on this. This is some good stuff. So essentially, what this email or this store closing email skill is that once we trained it to where, I'm actually going to back up a bit. So what we do essentially is we create mini store links for our customers. So each customer we have is actually getting a unique link to their store, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, instead of a constant Shopify-based store, all of our customers get unique products to their school, okay? So that being said, we have to send a unique link to that school each time we do a store, okay? So that being said, they kind of go onto the store and they buy what they want. They send it to all the students, blah, 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 blah. And they get a link to do so. And what this store closing email is trained to do is it's trained to type in a date and say like you are wanting the store closing emails to close on May 12th, right? So you type in May 12th and it automatically populates the email to the coach and says, hey, your store is closing in 2 days, okay? So that alone, you can spit out 50 emails in 5 minutes. And essentially what that can do is pull all the data from our CRM and draft an email and do some pretty cool stuff. So I'm going to show you that in real time. I'm just going to make sure that our connectors are, I'm going to do this right now. Oh, shoot. Hopefully it will work. Because I did forget that our CRM isn't connected. I have to have her log into that. So I'm going to see if it works anyway.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not perfect, the gist.
Yeah. No, I want to show you this. It's just I don't have her login info. Otherwise, I would just log in quick on her CRM. I only have her email. Where did that store closing?
You've got loads of these skills then. So.
Yeah, dude, she's got so many. That's why I wanted to show you hers, is because like she's just down the rabbit hole and like building all these for her own job, which is pretty awesome. So like she types in 421. So like you can just read this kind of as I follow it. So it's like executing the store draft workflow. So she's like, she's had 4 stores, so it does all this code for her and finding all this information. And it drafts an email for her. I'm going to see. I don't know for sure if this will work just because the CRM is not connected. I did not realize that it wasn't connected. But I'm just going to try. So I'm going to do 5/11 /2026. I'm going to do. Okay. It might say that MCP is not connected because there's some security stuff that I can't access on my side. So please excuse me if that is not connected. Shoot, yeah, it's not connected.
That's okay, bro.
Give me 1 second to see if I can. Yeah, it's not connected. I'm sorry. So I don't have her password, unfortunately.
Don't worry,
but you can kind of see. I'll show you some other cool ones. So like all these stores are created. All these emails are created. So this is what it would happen. Something like here, your store is this is the output it would give. Okay. Can you still see my screen? Okay. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So this is the output it would give, and it would give 50 of these in essentially 2 minutes, where she doesn't have to search anything.
So
it's unique to the school.
It would draft.
It's unique. What was that?
It would draft all of these emails.
Yes, it would draft all these, but the crazy thing is each draft is unique, which is the beauty of it. So, for example, this stuff you see right here, all this is unique to the customer.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to listen to, it doesn't have to have a constant number. So the 74911, this is only unique to this draft. The next customer is going to be the exact opposite of this. Yeah. And she doesn't have to get any of this data on her own. And she was telling me straight up that this would take her 2 hours every single day to do, and it's now done in 2 minutes.
Wow. Now that's quite something. Yeah.
And I'm going to send you a recording where I do this in real time. It just so I apologize. I should have been more set up with my credentials. But yeah, that's essentially done in 2 minutes. And it just spits out 50 drafts by just her typing in a date, because it's trained to understand when you type in the date, this is what we want. When you type in the date, pull the information from this, draft an email based off this information, send.
Yeah, that is very impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
So it's effing awesome, man. Like I will show you the more finished, polished look of it when I definitely have the chance to. But that's kind of a nutshell how I've been doing things in a while, for the last while.
Yeah,
but I mean, I'd love to get more in depth on definitely some more stuff. I know this stuff is kind of overwhelming. But again, ask Claude.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you, bro. Is literally just like, if you don't understand one thing, I mean, I love that people come to me. Like, I feel so honored that that people have questions, that I might be able to help with. But at the same time, ask Claude.
Yeah.
Because each time someone asks me something, there's a 50-50 chance that if I don't know it, I'll probably just ask Claude and just give you the same output that Claude gave me, right? So that's my secret right there. Don't share that to anybody. But so that being said, that's kind of a 30,000-foot view of essentially how my life has changed with Claude and these Claude Skills and MCP. I very confidently think that in the next, how long, my whole entire, whether it's my company or my family's company, everything will be connected to Claude as the brain.
Yep.
And I will essentially have Claude making decisions for me. Whether people like to say that or not, I don't know, but I know that Claude will give me a better output than anybody else, including me. It just so happens that I firmly believe that. So yeah, is there any questions you have for me that you can't ask Claude?
Yeah, do you know what? There is one, because I know you got to go, so I'm gonna ask you just this. Yeah. And that's, with everything that you know right now, what are you trying to learn next? So you know all of this, what are you trying to learn right now with AI?
What am I trying to learn? What am I trying to learn? That's a very good question, because I am constantly learning. I guess it's I think what I'm trying to learn is that, and this is coming from someone who's very deep into AI, is how to juggle all of these unbelievable tools that are coming out at once, and essentially finding a happy medium that is learning the most advanced tools, but also not going down a cycle where I only learn new tools and I don't implement, if that makes sense. Because, you know, I heard in a podcast the other day, they were joking, but it did have some truth to it, that essentially AI is moving so fast right now that you have to be retired to keep up with tools. And it was a joke, but it's just kind of true at the same time, because, you know, my job is implementing AI, but also I do see myself just constantly refreshing Twitter on the newest tools and learning a new tool, but not implementing it. So I do think that you have to find a happy medium and learn how to implement and learn at the same time, because you can't learn everything and implement because there's too much to learn. AI changes every day. Every day it changes. The stuff I talk about right now might be completely useless in a month. I'm not even kidding with you. In a month, it could be completely useless. And I'm not, maybe that's a stretch, right? I mean, Claude's here to stay. But I mean, you know, I spent thousands of hours learning N8N just for Claude Code to be able to do what I do in a shorter period of time. And I mean, it just so happens that I'm good at N8N, so I kind of stay there. But I mean, would I, you know, I guess the point I'm getting at is you just have to find a happy medium. And that's really what I'm trying to adapt to, is not going down the rabbit hole of learning new tools, but also learning new tools and implementing at the same time. You know, so I'm kind of trying to learn how to manage all that. I guess that's kind of my main focus as of right now, because, you know, once you kind of get where I'm at, you know, you see a thing on Twitter every single day and you're like, holy shit, I can use that. But is that really good for, you know, you just refreshing Twitter all day instead of making money? You know?
No, I love it.
You know?
I could ask
so that's
infinite amount of things.
That's kind of what I'm really trying to focus on, because it is so easy to go down the rabbit hole and not make money and just learn new tools. It's so easy. It's effortlessly easy. So don't go down that. Learn a tool, implement it. Learn a tool, implement. That's what I'm trying to do.
Got you, bro. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Max, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. We'll talk soon then, I assume.
Yes.
Hopefully soon. I'll send you some shit. I'll send you a lot of stuff, man. I'll send you some recordings. I'll send you PDFs. Please, any questions, ask Claude. I was going to say ask me, but ask Claude.
Yeah, man.
But dude, thanks for having me, man. I'm looking forward to talking to you soon. I can't wait to see where you're at in a few months with AI, man. I can't wait, because I know you're gonna do some cool shit.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, brother. Talk soon.
Yes. Thank you, Max.
Peace, brother.
You.
Yeah. Talk soon, brother. Have a good day.
Man. Bye.